Hello, I'm Sherry Braithwaite, and I am here with Denise Druce. Denise is a yoga therapist and mindfulness expert. And this week, I am focusing on a subject that she is very well versed in. I do have some ideas and things that I use, some tools that I've learned to help me to stay on top of it. But when I feel like I'm not on top of my game, that is when I need to do the I guess the overcoming overwhelm. I try to avoid it. I try to prevent overwhelm, but then sometimes I have to learn how to overcome it. So Denise is our expert. Denise will be able to give us some tips. She's probably the most active and organized and on top of her game person that I know. If there's not another person that I know who has a calendar that is as full as Denise's, from early morning to late night every day. Like, I don't even know if you have scheduled in time for naps or anything for yourself, but that's what that's what I wanted to start off with, is that she, of all people, she has her schedule is more full than anyone I know, but she manages to manage it all. So how do you do it?
And I was telling you before we got on this call, I'm probably the worst person to be giving advice about this because I am so guilty of creating my own overwhelm, of loading up my plate, just like you just described. Like, for that very reason, in fact, Sherry, is I get all these accolades like, oh, you get so much done in a day and you're so organized. And really, truly, like, I live in this state of overwhelm. And so when you say avoiding or overcoming, I think I'd like to look at overcoming first, because overwhelm really is a choice and it's a habit. It's a way of living. And when we peel that back and go, why do I do this? Why do I get myself so overwhelmed that I either have a breakdown or I realize I have to take a bunch of stuff off the calendar and revisit everything? Why am I back there in 6 months again?
Yeah.
And we really can, like, let's go down that deep rabbit hole of perfectionism and looking good and this sense of like belonging and contributing and doing good in the world. And like, I have to be doing something in order to be enough, to be accepted. That's really what we're talking about. And so when I see that in myself, I can dial it back enough to go, wait, you are enough. You're doing your best. You got out of bed this morning. Yay, you.
Yeah.
So overcoming, I think it's a lifetime project for me, that I get to this realization, like, I am enough, I'm doing my best, whatever happens today is going to be fine. I'm not a brain scientist, I'm what I'm doing. If I don't do what I do today, I can do it tomorrow. I get to that realization, but then those things creep up like addictions. Really, this busy is my drug. And if I spend too much time, like you said, nap downtime, I start to feel unimportant, like I'm not putting something of value into the world. And so just like an addiction, my calendar gets full again. And then I have to come back to this place. So I can't answer the overwhelm question because I'm guilty of it. And it's my path and my work to do. I would say let's all go see a good therapist and work on that one. But I do have some suggestions for the avoiding.
Oh, good. Okay. That's what we need. Yes.
So in these moments, let's say we've all just agreed, and like, let's just pretend that was just like a hit up the side of the head. Oh my goodness, that describes it exactly. That's what I do. And so now we're in this moment of clarity. That's always a choice point, right? My very next moment can be different when I realize I'm the source of my own overwhelm. Okay, well then let's take a look. As I see it, there are 7 important areas that human beings spend their time. 7 important big boulders in a day. So you take 24 hours, and we have to have good sleep. For me, that's 8 hours. If I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I'm not productive. I'm a bear. I don't feel good. So you got your good sleep. Nutrition. If you're feeding your body well, that takes time. We have to move our bodies every day. And for me, that's an hour. That's a 1 hour commitment to me every single day, or I don't feel good. We all have to, and hopefully get to engage in meaningful work that fulfills us and pays our bills. We need to spend time on cultivating loving relationships. We have to have time for fun and play, right? All work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy and a serial killer. Time for rest and downtime. You mentioned naps. There's an awesome Instagram page called the Nap Ministry, and she's a big advocate of naps every day. So those are the 7 things: sleep, nutrition, moving, fulfilling work, loving relationships, fun and play, rest and downtime. I would add to that spiritual life. But I also see that spiritual life is embedded in all of the above.
Yeah.
Like, spiritual life is just like who you are and how you do all those things. But if you're involved in like church callings and jobs and things like that take time, you would add an 8th bucket of, my spiritual life, because that becomes kind of a part-time job that takes some time as well. Okay, so now we have to work backwards. We take a 24-hour day and we plug all of that stuff in. And if I'm going to sleep for 8 hours and spend 2 hours a day on my nutrition and an hour on my movement, and I've got an 8-hour job, I have an hour for loving relationships.
Yeah.
All right, Michael, you get from 6 to 7.
Exactly.
Where do we plug in the play? The play gets plugged in maybe on our days off. Where does that rest come in? And so that's all we have time for. That's it.
That's true.
What's not on that list is scrolling Instagram and looking at other people's lives.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no time for that unless that for me feels restful. If I call that my rest, I'm going to give myself a 30-minute break and I'm going to scroll mindlessly because that's rejuvenating for me. Great. That gets plugged into one of the important buckets. Answering emails. Just 1 second.
Okay. Just answering an email.
My light's flickering. For me, I consume a lot of time because it feels good to me to have an empty inbox. I waste a lot of time answering emails that aren't urgent. Okay. And take me away from from my big 7 buckets.
Yeah. I was wondering about that because I know that you have, and adding to all the other things you do in your social platforms, you have, I imagine, thousands of emails to go through, maybe every day. I don't know. But then you have constant texts and constant pop-up reminders. And so anyway, that's part of it too. So email, do you just schedule a certain time of the day to do that? And you just prioritize? In
a perfect world. Yeah, but you're right, because now you're right. It's not just emails, it's text messages, it's the messenger, Instagram messages. And so what I really have to be disciplined, and this is where I'm not good. I would rather go to bed with an empty inbox than spend quality time with people I love, which is sad because you do that for 3 or 4 days and your relationships suffer. Yeah. I would rather go to bed with all my messages answered than spend time resting or playing. And that's not good balance, right? So I just have to consciously choose where do emails go? Which bucket do those go in? So if I can categorize, these are work emails, I'm going to do this while I'm doing my fulfilling work. These are social, these are relationship building emails. I'm going to plug those in and count those towards I'm building relationship here. So that helps me a little bit, but that's a pitfall for me. I end up like putzing around the house a lot when I'm trying to, wasting time just doing stupid things. And I would call cleaning house a waste of time.
I do too, unfortunately. Yes. But I don't, so, well, that's actually something people that think that have enough money, they just hire someone, right? We just hire a
Yeah.
cleaner.
Well, I would rather pay someone to clean my house if I can make wise use of that time.
Yeah. Yes.
You
Makes
know,
sense.
if I can be making money while someone else is,
Making
I'm
money
helping
while
someone else make money.
I think I'll do, that's a great way to look at it. So I'll make $100 during that hour while to pay for them to do my
Yeah.
hour.
And you're giving someone a job that needs a job.
Yeah. It's a
So
great.
I don't know.
I like it.
So that's just my suggestion is, you know, like learning, you talked about what you taking time to like get a degree or learn something. That if that's a big boulder, that has to, like, now you've got 8 things on your list,
Yeah.
right? And you've got to figure out which of those 7 things get shoved out of the way, you know.
Yeah.
And when I start seeing that happen on my calendar, when I start seeing my joy time get shoved out of the way, my family time, my personal play or rest time, that's when I get overwhelmed.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. You've got to have that balance of
Yeah.
all of it.
And also, like, how many things do we put on our calendar that we view as urgent, but they really aren't? I remember when my kids were little, for whatever reason, I felt like if I didn't have them scheduled from their waking moment to the time they went to bed, that they were going to fall behind. So, you know, they had to come home from school and do their homework and then go straight to soccer. And then after that, it was a music lesson. And then we had to, you know, go somewhere else. Like, I had this panic that they had to be busy too. And I look back now and I just go, no, that's backwards. So what are things that we're doing, you know, putting our things on our calendar? Okay, so here's an example. If I have a big presentation coming up and I know that Wednesday night is my only night to prepare for that, and I've blocked out 4 hours of preparation so that I'm ready for that. My friends call and they're going out to dinner. And I love my friends. And maybe there's that FOMO, like, I don't want to miss out on anything. I want to go socialize and be with my friends. But I know that that's going to cause overwhelm because I'm going to have to either get up at 5 a.m. or stay up till midnight the next day, or it's going to cause overwhelm. So looking at, you know, just looking at priorities, I think is helpful as well.
That's true. And that's a tough one, really tough when you have to make especially if it's fun compared to work.
Yeah.
You have to do the work or you're going to be overwhelmed, but you might have to give up on the fun sometimes. But anyway.
Yeah.
That's a hard
And
one.
I've told people from the beginning of time, because, you know, I've been a fitness instructor for 40 years, and people say, I just don't have time. I mean, look at my day, look at all the things that I've got in my day. And, you know, I love the saying, like, if you make a little bit of time now, you can buy yourself a lot of healthy time at the end of your life. Like, if you don't make time right now, you're going to spend a whole lot more time sick and injured and diseased, right? So for me, that hour of time is non-negotiable. And I put it on the calendar like it's an appointment with somebody important because I'm important, you know? So my sleep goes from here to here. My workout goes from here to here. If I'm going to cook a healthy meal, I got to put that on the calendar, or something else gets pushed out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, so I do think it's a calendar thing, this overwhelm. If we can manage a calendar, we can manage overwhelm.
So you block out your times. So when do you do your calendaring?
Still a paper calendar girl.
I'm too. I like the hard copies. Yeah.
Yeah, because I need this. I need to see month at a glance. I cannot look at those little dots on my phone. They don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
So I schedule out my month at a glance. And then yes, every Sunday I sit down and I plan out the week ahead. And I can see where I need help. I can see where I need to reschedule things. I can see where my white space is. And that's the word I've learned recently. I am very, very protective now of white space. So Tuesdays are my day off. I take every Tuesday, I teach a class in the morning and that's it. I won't put anything else on my books on Tuesday. And it feels so good that regardless of what's going on in my life, I know I've got a whole day of white space. And
Nice.
granted, I use it to catch up. I use it to do work and all the catch up things, but I've got white space there to do what I need to do in. And I
Wow,
love that.
that's a good idea. So here is my dilemma. Tell me how you handle this. I have been using the calendar planning. I actually have hours. I do have hours blocked out. I was experiencing overwhelm because all of these blocked out times were not happening. That all of a sudden it just all crumbled. I was so set and structured to make it run so smoothly and feel like I'm on top of my game. And it was feeling good. But when it gets tweaked even just a little, my whole day is shot because of whatever, something comes up or whatever. And
Yeah.
I actually, even to throw in that mix, I had an emergency plumbing emergency with my faucet. So that took out some time. I had to go to the plumbing store and I had to call some plumbers. And anyway, so life happens. How do you handle that? Like, so I just, my solution was you just do it. You just do what you need to do, and then you catch up. I had to contact all my teachers and tell them can you give me some extensions? And so now I'm just playing makeup, but that's where the overwhelm comes in. And it's not the end of the world to feel overwhelmed if it's not something that's constant, if you're not like giving yourself strokes and heart attacks because you can't handle your life. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's when I think I felt the most, is when life happens and
Yeah.
stuff you
Yeah.
can't have control
Yeah.
over.
You have no control over it. And I think there's a difference. Just hearing you talk, I think there's a difference between overload and
Mm.
overwhelm. And overload to me is like, I got all this stuff, like my plate just got fuller, my time just got shorter. But overwhelm is then this sense of like dread and maybe guilt and maybe even shame. Like, I'm embarrassed that I can't do this, that I have to go and ask for more permission somewhere else. And like that overwhelm, it just gets really personal,
Yeah.
right? So I think you obviously did the right thing. Like, you're doing the best you can in any moment. And to me, it's kind of like a puzzle. Okay, this just got moved. What am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
Just like get creative.
Mm.
Like, is it a possibility to enlist your sick child in a project that's really important that you have to work on, or deal making, with a child that's old enough? Like, I know you don't feel well. Will you watch a movie? I need to do this thing. And then I'm going to move this appointment and spend some time with you, you know? That's not always possible either, but I think that's where we get creative.
Yes.
Is what are the boulders? What are the important things that have to get done? What can be moved? What's not going to cause me all that overload tomorrow? And then water flooding in the house, that's definitely moved up to the top of priority list.
Yeah, that was stressful. And I think I'm not used to all the stressful stuff. I had it. It's been a lot of years since I've had a lot of stress. When I was living in my home that was 100 years old, I had a lot more problems
Yeah.
than I have now. But when
Yeah.
something like that comes up, yeah, I wish that from the very first moment that I saw it happening, I would have just called a plumber in that moment, instead of our stepfather, who wants to coach me on how to do it myself.
Yeah.
And tell me what tools I need. And so I went to the plumbing store and tried to figure it out on my own. And that's where I was like, I should just call the plumber from the very beginning.
You know what that brings up for me though, Sherry, is I think about our dad, Dennis, who he was a really good example to me of someone who never got into overwhelm.
It's true. It's
Like
true.
I watched him live a very simple life. And, part of that was that he had addictions, and he knew that if his stress level got high, that would push him closer to his addictions.
Yeah.
Right. And so when he got sober, he consciously chose simplicity. He consciously chose to minimize his bills and expenses. he consciously chose the way he was very regimented about, I get up at this time and then I go to this place and have coffee with my cronies at this time and I make this sign and then I'm back home by this time. And like, that was the day,
Yes.
go home and draw and read and listen to music and maybe the grandkids would visit.
Right. Yep. I remember a day one time when I wanted to go see him. It was on a Tuesday, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry today." I shouldn't laugh at him. He said, "No, Tuesday's trash day. I can't do anything else. Trash day. Like you need to take the trash out to the street, and then you take the trash back when the trash man is done."
Yeah, but for him, that
funny.
was an additional chore into his regimented day. And it meant like he would go out into the yard and he'd do a little bit of yard work that would go in the trash bins. He'd clean his house, whatever. But like that was a great example of Tuesday's trash day.
Yeah.
That's my extracurricular activity. Wednesday, I go spend time with this person, and so an example to me of that it is possible to simplify, that being overwhelmed is a choice. And when we really take a step back, how many of the things that are we doing that we're doing for the wrong reasons, and they're not really fulfilling? They're either habit or they're to get attention or something that's really not contributing to the quality of our lives.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Denise, you have so many good things to share. Thank you so much for your time. Did you have this blocked out time with Sherry today for 1 hour?
I did. It's right. It's right here on the calendar. Sherry, 1 o'clock,
good.
right here.
Perfect. Tell the audience ways that they can reach you and ways that you're serving the community, services that you offer, I guess.
Okay. So my website is my name, DeniseDruce.com. And that's where you can find registration for my virtual classes. I lead a yoga teacher training. I lead yoga retreats. You can find all of that on my website. I also have a nonprofit called Yoga Forward, and through the nonprofit, we are taking yoga into the prisons and jails, into schools. We're helping school teachers with mindfulness curriculum. We're working with our BIPOC community and trying to make yoga more accessible for people of color. We're trying to extend these tools into places where they don't exist. So that website is yogaforward.org. We'd love to have you take a look at that.
Very good. And also public speaking, to be a keynote speaker for corporations, right? But what are some subjects that you teach? I should ask.
So right now, the hot topic, which is new and very old, is mindfulness. And so creating a more mindful business, creating a more mindful work environment, creating more mindful relationships, more mindful classrooms, more mindful prisons. We're even working with correctional officers on how to be, we're better at what we do when we are present and centered and calm.
Yeah.
Whatever we do, whoever we're with, whatever's happening, if we can figure out how to quickly get centered, get present and calm, we can do whatever needs to be done in that moment. So I love speaking on this topic and helping corporate executives learn how to get centered, present, and calm. School children, school teachers, school administrators, prisoners. I really am passionate right now about bringing these tools of not just yoga, but really breathwork and mindfulness to help us be present, centered, and calm.
Very good. We need that so much. I appreciate you being on here and all the things you're doing. And so if you want to reach Denise, just DeniseDruce.com, or you can message me and I can hook you up with her.
Awesome. Sherry, thank you. You're doing great. You're doing good things in the world. What you're doing is enough, and it's perfect.
Thank you. Have a good day. See you later.
Okay, you too. Bye.